Hi, this is your professor, Judy Paparozzi, and I wanted to talk to you all about some of the grammatical errors you are still making in your summaries that really they're easy errors to correct, so I wanted to go over these with you. First of all, I'm sure most of you know by now that when you do the tier placement at the top of the template, you definitely double check it to make sure it's a tier 1, tier 2 watch list, etc. But you go to that document, how to write up your tier placement, and you copy and paste the correct tier, but from my example. So look for the word example under tier 1, tier 2, etc., and copy and paste it. I have a reason for doing that. I usually don't allow people to copy and paste, but please do it. So for example, this week is Thailand. And if I don't see the word ranked right away, I'll know you didn't copy and paste it. So Thailand is ranked as a tier 2 country, which is a country whose government does not fully comply with the TVPA's minimum standards, but is making significant efforts to bring itself into compliance with those standards. So all you have to do is make sure of your tier placement and copy and paste from the example in that document in the second module, which has all the information for your summaries, that one that says how to write up a tier ranking. And I give you the answer. So please make it easy on yourself because I have to keep sending it back for you to redo it. And I have a reason for doing it, which I will share later in the semester. And while we're on this particular point, if you're referring to Nigeria, Thailand, those are one country. It's a one country thing. So Nigeria is one country. So you can't use there, which is a plural pronoun, to refer back to Nigerian. The word government is one government. It's singular. So you have to use a singular pronoun. And the singular pronoun is the word its, I-T-S. Just like his doesn't have an apostrophe, H-I apostrophe S, its doesn't have an apostrophe unless it's a contraction. It is I-T apostrophe S. So we don't need, so I-T-S is the possessive, just like his, her, my, your, etc. So just, it's the word ITS. And even at the college level and graduate level, I've seen people make this mistake. You want to put an apostrophe or you want to say there instead of its. So if it's one thing like a country, a government, an agency like NAPTIP that we saw a lot with Nigeria, you use the pronoun it or its, okay? It's being the possessive, ITS. Your matching has to stay at 50% or lower, or I will not be able to accept it. You can't copy and paste anything other than the tier placement. So be careful. And if you find that your matching is staying high or whatever, use the headings only template. It's in the syllabus, and I'm sending it to a lot of people through the gradebook. So it just has the headings only, and that will bring it down because I allow 50% because of the template, okay? And when I noticed that the trafficking in persons report didn't put a the before NAPTIP, but it requires a the as if you're writing out the actual name of the organization in a non-abbreviated form. So words like SCOTUS, which is the Supreme Court, you put the SCOTUS, okay? Please review my edits. This is a writing enhanced class, and it meets one of your requirements for graduation. So I take it very seriously. And one of the things I have always loved to do, because I started teaching writing after college at a community college, and I was amazed how much I learned about writing and punctuation. Punctuation is usually what gets people. You have to really kind of know those rules, and it's not hard. It's just you have to take the time to learn them. But I have really great grammar. I speak grammatically correct at all times. I made sure my kids did. They may not know the rule. They may not have known a certain rule, but they certainly knew how to speak correctly. And it helps them in their writing classes all through high school and college. So please, I love to help people to become better writers. Some of you are already great writers. You just need some help with like punctuation, etc. But please don't be insulted by my edits. I am a teacher, not only of human trafficking, which is 99% of the course, but those summaries, I correct. I spend all day Monday and Tuesday correcting those summaries. All day Monday for my 800 class or my 801 class, and then the next week I flip it over to make the 801 class done on Monday, and then Tuesday. I spend all day doing those. So please take the time to review my edits and incorporate them in your next summary. Okay, some of you are getting a little confused about the recommendations. I don't want commands, prioritize, educate, train, whatever. Anything that begins with a verb, an action verb. like prioritize or train or teach or educate, etc. I don't want it to be like that. I want you to write it in a full sentence. Thailand should train its law enforcement, etc. So just make sure that they start out with either it should or Thailand should or whatever in complete sentences, not commands. A lot of people want to keep that apostrophe S for NGOs. That's apostrophe S shows for any word, a noun or an abbreviation of that noun, shows possession. So unless you're showing possession, the plural of any word usually adds an S or an ES. That's it. No apostrophe. You see it everywhere on billboards and everything. It's just incorrect. So NGO, capital N, capital G, capital O, and then a small s. Do not put an apostrophe S unless you're showing possession, which is rare with NGOs, okay? Spell out words from 1 to 10. Spell out the words. And also we never start a sentence with a number. We always write out the number in words. So in other words, don't use the numeral like 517. You have to write 517 in those words. Now, let's talk about the source, destination, and transit question. Every country is a source country because a source country is where victims come from. So they're going to come from Thailand. So just so you know, Thailand is a source country for victims that can remain in the country or can leave the country, but that still makes it a source country. A destination country is a country that victims are sent to from any other country. So are victims sent to Thailand? If they are, please say yes, and then explain what the tip report said about Thailand being a destination country. A transit country is very rare, and you all seem to be misunderstanding a transit country. A transit country is a country used for the sole purpose, well, not the sole purpose, but for the purpose of taking victims through it, not to it, not at its ports, nothing. Say, for example, Russia uses Ukraine to take victims from Russia through the Ukraine and onto a European country. So that was one that a lot of you missed when we did Ukraine. Ukraine is used as a transit country also, but it's a source and it's a destination country, but it was also a transit country. And I don't really mark you down, and you must provide evidence from the tip report, and it's usually found in the trafficking profile. So get those three things straight. Source is where victims come from. They can even stay, like in the United States, a lot of our victims don't leave. They are trapped here. So they're sourced here, so they're found here, they're from here. But the United States is also a destination country for Mexico. And it's interesting, it's also a transit country because Mexican traffickers move victims not only to the United States, which makes the United States a destination, but through the United States to Canada. So the United States is going to be all three. But transit, you have to see in the tip report if it specifically says victims are taken through it. Not transported within it, but taken through it to a third country, okay? And always provide me evidence from the tip report. Don't define source, destination, and transit. Don't define it for me. I know the definition. I want you to give me evidence of why it is one of those three or all, two of those three or all three of those three. Transit is rare. Remember that transit countries are rare. All right, there are some exceptions, but if it's in the tip report, then I will accept it. Okay. If when you begin a sentence, if you say something like, in my humble opinion, and then you start your main sentence, in my humble opinion, it's an introductory phrase. And you're supposed to set off any introductory phrase of 4 or more words with a comma. I set them all off with a comma, and including any time phrases like in 2021, comma. In my humble opinion, comma. I liked the Kansas City Chiefs over the Eagles. I don't care about football, but that's just a little example. But in 2021, comma. In 2022, comma. At 2 o'clock this morning, comma. Okay, so you want to set it off with a comma just to show that it's a separate part of the sentence. And really, I've seen this error a lot, and I thought I've given some good instruction. We don't capitalize the words human trafficking. This crime does not deserve to be capitalized unless it's part of a name, like our course, Human Trafficking and Slavery, or my conference, Human Trafficking Conference. That's when we capitalize it, and I abbreviate it with capital letters because we don't abbreviate in English with lowercase letters. So you don't need to capitalize human trafficking unless the word human begins a sentence, then you would, or if it's part of a name. So the 3 rules for capitalization in English are easy. We capitalize the letter I, like referring to yourself, I. We capitalize the first word of every sentence, and we capitalize all names. If it's not a name, don't capitalize it. If it is a name, capitalize it and capitalize all the words in it that are the major part of the word, not and the, etc. But just capitalize any name. So Professor Paparozzi, professor gets capitalized, and Paparozzi gets capitalized. A lot of people, don't capitalize Aunt Judy, like that's my first name, Judy. They don't capitalize Aunt anymore, but that's incorrect because that's my name, Aunt Judy. Of course, I'm also a mother, etc. So capitalized names, the letter I in the once used to refer to yourself, and the first word of any sentence. Okay, I'm about halfway done. Now, a lot of you don't know too much about how to use commas and semicolons correctly. I'm going to post another video on just using commas, semicolons, and colons, a separate video. Bottom line is, when you don't know the rule, don't use the comma, okay? And I will highlight that in the next video, which I'll probably post in the next couple of days. Now, run-on sentences are really common in this class. A run-on sentence is simple. You take 2 sentences, which a sentence has 3 parts, a subject, a verb, and it expresses a complete thought. Jane went to the store. She bought ice cream. You cannot connect those 2 sentences with a comma alone. The one punctuation mark that does work for that, Jane went to the store, is a semicolon, a dot and a comma, semicolon, she bought ice cream, period. That is correct. The easier way for most people to remember, because this is the way we speak, Jane went to the store, comma, and she bought ice cream. So that's correct also, or you can separate them into 2 sentences. Jane went to the store, period. She bought ice cream, period. Okay? So the 3 ways to do it are, the first one, just use that great semicolon, but a lot of people are using commas instead of semicolons to connect 2 complete sentences. If the second one is not complete, okay, doesn't have a subject, a verb, or express a complete thought, then you would just use, if you needed a comma, but a lot of times you don't need a comma. But in this case, I have 2 complete sentences because I have a subject, Jane and she. I have verbs, went and bought, and then I can express as a complete thought. She went to the store, and she bought ice cream. And that means that you have a complete thought expressed because you know what happened in the sentence, okay? So how do you do it again? You can connect them, not with a comma. If you have a comma, you have to have a conjunction. It's a dynamic duo. You have to have both. So conjunctions are like and, but, for, since, etc. So, and so the second one is, the first one is semicolon. That's the easiest. And when you think you just want to put a comma, put the semicolon. It'll probably be right. Or if you're going to use a comma, you use a conjunction with it, like and, but, for, etc. All right, I'm almost done. We do not use the word you in professional writing because you means you're talking to someone. So if you're writing an email, if you're writing a letter, if you're texting, you can use you. But if you're writing about Thailand, you don't know anybody in Thailand, you're not talking to me because you're writing about it, you're summarizing it. Don't use expressions like you wouldn't believe what, whatever. Don't use those in your college writing. We capitalize the tiers, but you don't have to capitalize the word tier, you have to capitalize the tier rankings. Now, a lot of you are afraid to show possession. I noticed in Ukraine, you'd write the Ukraine government. Well, it's the Ukraine's government or the Ukrainian government. And singular possession, you apostrophe S, and plural possession, S apostrophe. And if you have any doubt, look it up on the internet. Particular words are hard to, like if it ends in an S, what do you do? If it ends in a Z, what do you do? But singular possession, the cat's paws were cold. At C-A-T apostrophe S. If there's 1 cat, if there's 2 cats, C-A-T-S apostrophe. Okay, I do believe you understand the difference with it. You use it for one country, like Nigeria, Thailand, or whatever, one country. The pronoun is not there, they, it's it. Same with government, whatever. And ITS shows possession like his does, and their does, your does, my does. I think that's it, right? I think I got them. And our. All right, so you just put ITS and it shows possession. So Nigeria has a problem with its traffickers, ITS. But if you want to say it is, it's IT apostrophe S. But I think you all know that. Okay, if you ever, this should not have quotation marks in it, but if you ever use a quotation mark, you put the commas and periods inside of that second quotation mark. the last quotation mark. Okay, and then there's some other things I can get into, but I will do a thing on commas and semicolons and colons in another video. Thank you for taking this class. I hope it ends up being the hardest class you'll ever love.